Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Washington Redskins versus Los Angeles Chargers Week 14 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation between various data points. However, there's always going to be little nuggets of truth that are going to become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting out with this game between the Washington Redskins and the Los Angeles Chargers. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data, for those not in the know, deals with how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and of course how the special teams is doing. So basically just gives you a general idea of how those different phases of football are happening from a statistical standpoint, in terms of various statistics. Now, when you look at this information, most of the data favors the Los Angeles Chargers. So let's get into why. First off, offensively speaking, the Chargers have a lot of positives on offense. Now, the Redskins do have one kind of interesting positive to kind of bring up, but the Chargers, in terms of their comeback, they've been on a kind of upward spiral over the last couple weeks, and a big reason for that is, one, they don't turn the football over a lot. The turnover ratio between the Chargers is a big disparity there, and on top of that, they don't allow as many sacks in terms of the Redskins versus the Chargers as well. Now, the Redskins have a better offensive score percentage, so essentially the Redskins are better at putting points on the board. However, the Chargers have steadily improved that stat over the season up to this point. So in many ways, by the end of the season, the Chargers may actually be even better in terms of that ability to put points on the board. But so far, the Redskins do have a slightly better offense just because they've been able to put points on the board more consistently this year. But the Chargers have a lot of positives when it comes to not turning the football over, not allowing a lot of sacks, and in general, being able to put up points at an above average rate in terms of most of the season. But the biggest difference between the Chargers and the Redskins, the big reason why they are favored in this game is because of their defense. The Chargers defense has a much better defensive offensive score percentage. They have a much better ability to create turnovers, better ability to create sacks, and interceptions as a whole. So the Chargers just have a much better defense. Their offense is not as good, or at least I should say it's not been as consistently positive as the Redskins, but you take the defense of the Chargers, which is above average, and you take the offense of the Chargers, which is also above average, and you end up with an above average result, essentially. And then, of course, we get to special teams. So when you look at special teams, punt return yardage favors the Chargers, kick return yardage favors the Redskins, defensive punt return yardage favors the Chargers, defensive kick return yardage favors the Redskins, field goal percentage favors the Redskins, extra point percentage favors the Redskins, and of course punting average favors the Chargers. Now, who has the better special teams? Well, as I tell you guys every single week, the biggest special team indicator out of every single one, like the biggest indicator in terms of winning football games when it comes to special team statistics, is the field goal percentage. So in this particular aspect, the Redskins are favored in that regard. But the Chargers have a lot of positives on offense, a lot of positives on defense, and also there's a huge disparity between what they do on defense compared to the defense of the Redskins, that the overall data just tends to favor them because of all those overall positives to their game. So that's kind of the best way to kind of explain it. Is I think if this is a tight football game, like that's the best way to kind of explain this to you. If this is a very tight football game, we're talking 3-point difference in this game, I think that ultimately the Redskins could end up winning this game because of that fact. Because the Chargers have one of the worst place kickers in the NFL. this year. You know, they're not consistently getting field goals at the rate they need to. So ultimately, if this becomes a close game, I think it really does favor the Redskins. But if this becomes a game where it's not as close, you definitely could see a Chargers victory as the more likely result, despite that, if you will. But ultimately, most of the data favors the Chargers. Now let's get into some micro matchups. So micro matchups, split data, situational football, whatever term you want to call it. We're going to be looking at, down and distance data here. And when you look at the Chargers offense versus the Redskins defense when it comes to completion percentage data, the Redskins are favored on first and second down. So ultimately, I do think that the Redskins defense will put up a fight in this game when it comes to preventing positive plays, but there definitely is some room for the Chargers to have some success as well. And then, of course, you get to the Redskins offense versus the Chargers defense, where the Redskins should have success on first and third down. Then we get to rushing downs between the Chargers offense and the Redskins defense, where the Chargers are favored on first and third down. So again, the Chargers should have some success in those particular areas. And then, of course, we get to rushing downs between the Redskins offense and the Chargers defense. In this particular area, I would say it's kind of even between both these teams in that respect. Then we get to passing down. So this is the Chargers offense versus the Redskins defense when it comes to passing downs, and the Chargers are favored on first and second down. So again, both those particular areas for the Chargers, I think the Chargers will have success passing the football because of those big downs and distances that they've had a lot of success on. Then we get to passing downs for the Redskins offense versus the Chargers defense. And this is pretty evenly matched. If you look at first down situations, it kind of slightly favors the Chargers. Second down slightly favors the Redskins. And then third down slightly favors the Chargers again. But ultimately, it's pretty close. On every down and distance, I think this is a pretty even matchup between both these teams when it comes to the ability to create first downs with the pass. Then we get to sack rate between the Chargers offense and the Redskins defense. And the Chargers are favored on first, second, and third down. So even though the Redskins have had some success creating sacks, creating pressure, all that kind of stuff, the Chargers have just been very good at preventing that over the last pretty much this entire season. They've been very decent at preventing sacks. So ultimately, I think that this is going to be Chargers because of this fact. I don't think they're going to allow a lot of sacks. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, you get to the Redskins offense versus the Chargers defense, where the Chargers are favored on first, second, and third down. So essentially, when you look at the Chargers, I think will have lots of success creating sacks against the Redskins, and I think that's going to be a major factor in this game in terms of who wins and who loses is that deciding factor there. And then, of course, you get to interception ratio between the Chargers offense and the Redskins defense. In this particular area, the Redskins are favored on second and third down. So pretty much the Redskins, I think, might be able to get some picks, get some interceptions in this game that might change the tide of things. And then finally, we get to the Redskins offense versus the Chargers defense when it comes to interceptions. And in this area, the Chargers are favored on first, second, and third down. So the Chargers as well might get some opportunities to get some picks, get some interceptions that could change the outcome of this game. So ultimately, how do I feel about this game? I think it's a Chargers victory. I think when you look at the Chargers and you look at the offense, which has steadily gotten better, you look at the defense, which has really come into its own. At the very beginning of the year, they were able to sack the quarterback, and that was really about it. But now they're starting to make a lot of plays. Guys like Desmond King and a lot of the aspects of their secondary are really starting to play a lot better and really help them out in that respect. Get some turnovers, get some picks. And I think ultimately, because of all those factors, that's the biggest positive thing I could say is that the Chargers have just steadily gotten better as the years gone on. The Redskins have kind of been stagnant. They haven't really gotten better or gotten worse, except on defense. They have gotten a little bit worse on defense. But ultimately, I just think it's going to be a Chargers victory. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content, and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.